Hello everyone, welcome to my class today. This is Salin here. Today we'll be dealing with next nursing foundation topic, that is healthcare services. So these are services which are provided by medical professionals, organizations. Organizations means hospitals and institutions which are providing healthcare, and ancillary healthcare workers. These are paramedical workers who are also the team of healthcare. They provide medical care to those in need. This those person who are sick and in need of healthcare services, and these services are provided to patients, families, communities, and population. So they provide high quality care and accessible to all individuals. That means irrespective of age, sex, whether they are in urban area, rural area, or any poor people or rich people, irrespective of everything, they provide services to all people. So this is called healthcare services. Components of healthcare services are disease prevention, that is preventing the disease; health promotion is promoting health; and primary care is the first line of care or first line of treatment given during any disease. And diagnosis is identifying the disease, and treatment is once identifying, then we have to treat the disease. And if the person has gone for disability, then rehabilitation is restoring or to the maximum ability the patient can perform the activities. We are helping him or assisting him to maintain his self care, and continuing care is even after the treatment in hospital. If the person is in chronic disease and need a long term care, so we help the person to attain this continuing care. So these are the components of healthcare services. Let's see one by one. The first component of healthcare services is disease prevention. So that is, we are preventing the occurrence of disease or its associated risk factors, and also we minimize the burden of disease. So this intervention is done for the individual or for the population, so that the risk of the disease is minimized. To the levels of disease prevention, so first is primordial prevention. This is preventing even the risk factor before it is occurring. So for it, that is establishing and maintaining standards to minimize the hazards of health. Okay, for example, formulation of policies, rules, regulation, laws that govern the population and minimize the risk factor in the society. Okay, so for example, now the COVID-19 incidents came, pandemic came. So when the pandemic was in China and America itself, there was alert to all the countries to govern or to put policies and rules in order to protect the society. So there were lockdown rules, etc., in order to minimize the risk factors. So this is one type of primordial prevention. So next is primary prevention. Primary prevention is preventing the disease from occurring. Okay, so once the risk factor is there, we have to prevent the disease from occurring. This is done by vaccination. So vaccination program helps in preventing most of the infectious diseases, maintaining an ideal body weight, that is reducing obesity, which helps in preventing so many cardiovascular and other systemic diseases. And balanced diet, that is eating healthy, so that person will have a proper nutrition. And healthy lifestyles, that is avoiding smoking, drug abuse, and other alcohol. So all those habits we have to avoid and maintain a healthy lifestyles like doing exercise, walking, etc., so that we can minimize the occurrence of disease. And next is secondary prevention, that is early diagnosis and treatment. So this prevention is done once the patient is got the disease and is admitted in the hospital. So we have to diagnose the problem early and treat early, so that he doesn't go to the complications of the disease. And tertiary prevention is preventing the complications, that is recurrence of disease, through proper health education. Follow up means regular checkup even after discharge, and continuity care is long term care if the person is in a chronic disease and needs a long term care. And primordial prevention explanation, so it is action or measures taken to inhibit the emergence of risk factors. So as I already said, it is preventing the risk factors through environmental, social, behavioral, economic condition, and living standards. Okay, for example, people living in slums or poverty, so the government has to build houses so that they can improve their living standards and prevent so many communicable diseases. So according to the condition, we have to make some environmental social changes for the person. And in any population or country, if there is a knowledge that some risk factor is there for occurrence of the disease, then the government has to make policies and laws in order to prevent the disease. Like for example, the recent lockdown policies was brought in order to prevent this COVID-19. And the aim of remedial prevention is to discourage the person adopting the harmful lifestyle. Okay, if person is having the habit of drinking or smoking or abuse, drug abuse, so all those harmful lifestyles we have to tell the person to prevent in order to have a healthy lifestyle. And this is done through individual and mass health education. So mass health education can be done through TV, newspaper, radio, etc., and also by formulating policies and laws. Level is the primary prevention. Here the action is taken before the onset of disease so that we can prevent the disease from occurring. And here the interventions are done in the pre-pathogenesis phase, that is when the pre-pathogenesis is disease. Okay, so before the disease is occurring, the interventions are done. And in primary prevention, it can be achieved through health promotion and specific protection. Okay, so the health promotion means promoting health, and protection is we are doing some intervention to protect the person. Methods of primary prevention, as I said earlier, it is health promotion and specific protection. So in health promotion, we have to give health education regarding diet, exercise, nutrition, so how to prevent the disease. So all these related health education will be given as per the person's condition. And environmental modification, so like in case a person is in slum and they are in low poverty scale areas, so these persons some housing has to be given, or government or other agency should provide housing so that they can improve their living standards. In nutritional intervention, as per the nutritional status of the person, we have to provide interventions. For example, when the person is obese, he is prone for getting heart attack and stroke related disorders. So in these conditions, we have to advise them to reduce the cholesterol in diet. And on the other hand, if the person is malnourished, then we have to advise them to eat balanced diet and also take protein more in food so that it can prevent the malnutrition. Lifestyle changes, you have to tell the person to avoid smoking, alcoholism and drug abuse, as these are risk factors for certain diseases, and also maintain a healthy lifestyle. So if the person is having a sedentary lifestyle, then he has to do exercise, meditation, etc., so that he can maintain a good health pattern. So this all you have to teach in health promotion. And specific protection is by protecting the person from diseases. So this is done by immunization. So immunizations are vaccines which are administered in children so that they give protection for so many infectious diseases. Chemoprophylaxis is chemical treatment we give for certain diseases when it is common in certain epidemic areas. For example, like we give deworming agents in case of worm infestation. So in which all areas worm infestation diseases is prevalent, we protect the person before by giving some deworming agents. So these are under primary prevention method. And specific nutritional program, so this is done by the health organizations. They have made some protocols for the special nutrition for children. So like midday meal program is there, where food is given free of cost in government schools, etc., for children. Okay, so these all are to protect the person from malnutrition. And protection from environmental and occupational hazards, so there are so many air pollution and in also occupation. Sometimes we person may be exposed to so many chemicals, radiation. So all these areas there must be guidelines to protect the person from all the hazards. And also we have, like in hospitals, if a person is working, like proper aseptic measures has to be followed. So all these things should be done in order to protect the persons in their occupation and environment. And food and drug safety, so there are some agencies which are monitoring the standards of food, like preventing adulteration and also drugs. So drugs should be effective for the patient, so maintaining standards in drug preparation. So these are all certain agencies which are inspecting and maintaining the standards in the food and drug so that safe food and drug is delivered to the person. So these are the primary prevention methods. Next come the secondary prevention. So this is prevention after the disease had occurred. We have to, at the early stage, incipient is at the early stage, so we have to prevent the progress of disease so that the person may not go into the complications. So it aims at arresting the disease process and restoring health by providing adequate treatment before irreversible pathological changes occurs and prevents the communicability of disease. Okay, so irreversible pathological changes is the person should not go to a disability, like in case prolonged bedridden patients, they are more prone for going to spasticity of the extremities. So we have to give exercise and everything in the bed so that they don't go to the spasticity. So like that, certain procedures we do on the person so that we can restore the health of the person and they may prevent some irreversible matlab we cannot change the pathological change, that is the disability cannot be reversed, and it also can prevent the communicability of diseases. Okay, that is if certain TB and other diseases, if we find it in the early stage, then we can isolate the person so that the disease cannot be communicated to the others. And so this mainly focuses on early diagnosis, that is you have to identify the disease at this early stage and also provide treatment early so that prognosis will be better. This tertiary prevention, so this is action taken after the disease has progressed from its early stage. Okay, so even after the disease has progressed to early stage, we can do some measures in order to stop the disease progressing so that we can prevent the disability and impairment. So that means disability and impairment is there is loss of functioning of the body parts. So we can prevent that and promote the health of the patient by helping him to adjust with the life situation. And in intervention we help the person disability limitation and rehabilitation. So that means restoring the life of the patient and restoring the maximum activity he can perform by himself. That is tertiary prevention. Second component of healthcare service is health promotion. Okay, so this is empowering the people to control over their health and its determinants. So determinants are nothing but the factor that are influencing health, like social, economic, physical, psychological, biological factors. So these all will affect the health. So person has to control the health through health literacy efforts. Health literacy means health education and multi-sectoral action. Multi-sectoral action is not only the person, even the families and other healthcare people should join together with the person and help the person to increase the healthy behavior. Okay, for example, if a person has a family history of certain disease like heart attack or stroke, etc., so then it is prone for the children to go for the disease. So we have to advise the children from their early age, like after 30 itself, they have to go for a regular checkup and diagnosis so that early you can identify if the person is getting the disease or not. And this includes activities for community at large for a population at increased risk of negative health outcomes. So that means we are applying the health promotion in the population, that is in the community. So we have to give education to the community so that they will abstain from all the negative health behaviors. Okay, and health promotion usually addresses the behavioral risk factors such as tobacco use, obesity, diet, physical inactivity, as well as mental health, injury prevention, drug abuse, alcohol control, health behavior related to HIV and sexual health. So we have to teach in all these aspects of health so that person will abstain from all risky behaviors and maintain health. And coming to components of health promotion, there must be a correct policies and intervention to address tobacco, alcohol, physical activity and diet. Okay, so that is in case person is alcoholic, tobacco, we have to tell them to stop that, and physical activity. So in case patient is doing a sedentary lifestyle, we have to tell them to do exercise and also maintain the diet. Okay, so diet according to the needs. If the person is malnourished, then we have to teach them on the balanced nutrients like all the carbohydrate, protein, fats, and the micronutrients like vitamins, minerals. So everything should be in a correct proportion. Person should not take anything in excess or in wrong proportion. So these all has to be taught. And intersectoral policies and health services intervention to address mental health and substance abuse. So in case person is having any mental problems and substance abuse is like alcoholics and drug abuse. So if there is any problem like this, there must be intervention and specialized like the addiction ward should be there, where they will be given special attention for these persons. and strategies to promote sexual and reproductive health, including through health education and increase access to sexual reproductive health and family planning services. Okay, so according to the sexuality needs of the person, we have to give them the teaching about the sexual and reproductive health. This should be provided to tackle all the domestic violence, because domestic violence can also cause injury and ill health to the person. So all public awareness campaigns, treatment, protection of victims, and also linkage of law enforcement and social services. That means the health service must also be linked with law, because so many medical legal cases can come to the hospital, and so we have to identify like which is the problem, and thereby we have to give treatment, and also laws are there to govern the person. So these are the components of health promotion. Third component of healthcare services is primary care. So it is the care provided by physicians specially trained for and skilled in comprehensive first contact and continuing care of persons with any undiagnosed sign, symptom or health concern. Okay, so that means if the person is first time, like when we have some fever or cold, we go to some general practitioner. So they in the first line of treatment, so just they see our signs and symptoms and they give care. That means these patients are undifferentiated. That means they once we get diagnosed, then we know in particular organ we have a problem like GI disease, or it is a nephro related disease, or kidney cardiac disease. So like that the person is not undifferentiated. Just looking at the signs and symptoms, a comprehensive treatment is given. Okay, so here patient's biological, behavioral, social or organ system or any diagnosis is not done in the first line of treatment, that is called as primary care. Next, coming to the characteristics of primary care. So it is a patient family centered care and self reliance and participation. So here the primary care is the first line of treatment. So whenever a person is having some disease, he'll go to like a family physician, he'll go. So they both, so the care will be on based on the needs of the family, and self reliance, because the patient knows the physician already, so he will rely on the doctor, and the part and greater participation will be there. And community engagement and participation. So in case if there is a particular disease and it is identified as malaria or dengue or some diseases which is prevalent in that area, then the community related disease also can be identified, and then participation is what all the activities can be taken to prevent the particular disease also can be done. And health workers will collaborate with interdisciplinary teams. So because patient may go need a laboratory test, and also other technical support is needed, so all the technicians everyone join together and will give treatment for this person. And proactive prevention focus. So because it is the first line of treatment, so early itself if the disease is identified, then we can prevent the complication of the disease. And integration and coordination of services. So again the services which are done are coordinated with the other healthcare team members, and if something is needed in the community, then community participation also can be done. And accessibility, and because these are like family physicians, they will be very near to their neighborhood, so person can access the treatment whenever is needed. And better management of chronic conditions. So in case of any chronic conditions like diabetes, heart attack at home, then if the person wanted to do some checkups like glucose monitoring or any cholesterol monitoring, anything, so in between he can come to the hospital and get the treatment needed. So their more chronic conditions can be managed effectively, and localized set of choices. Okay, so here the physician will be allotted for a particular group of persons, so they can make their choices, and there will be limited persons, so the physician can identify the needs of everyone. And sustainability, so this care is patient centered, and they are good relationship with each other, so if the person sustains the condition. Okay, so that is there is sustainability. And multi-sectoral alignment and involvement. So all the family and also other members of the healthcare team all will participate and involve in this primary care. This primary care specialist, which means the team of members or the healthcare people who are under this primary care. So first is family care. So family care, as I said, there will be a family physician, and he will provide care for the adult or children whoever in that family. And next is internal medicine. So internal medicine is nothing but it's like a general practitioner who will have a clinic, and the physician will be there in a prescribed time, and persons can come and get treatment for any minor diseases like fever, cold, or any stomach ache, etc. And next is pediatric care. So this is care given to the children's and babies and also adolescents. And here the disease at the conditions in the younger patients can be managed effectively. And next is obstetrics and gynecology care. So here the gynecologist will be looking after the person's reproductive health, and they will also see labor, delivery, family planning services. This all will be done by the gynae care. And geriatric care, so it is mainly concerned with the old age persons more than 60 years of age. So they diagnose the disease that are prevalent in the old people and provide care for the older patients. So these are the primary care specialists. The fourth component of healthcare services is diagnosis. So it is a process or act of identifying, determining the nature and cause of disease or injury through evaluation of patient history, examination, and review of laboratory data. So using history, physical examination, and also lab results, we identify the type of disease, or we assess the person's particular disease. So that is called as diagnosis. Coming to the importance of diagnosis, so first diagnosis is needed to know the outcome of disease. Okay, outcome is certain diseases are acute, certain diseases are chronic. So we can know whether it is acute condition, whether it can be treated immediately, or whether it needs a long term treatment. So to know the outcome, we need to do the diagnosis. And then for management, that is treatment of disease. That is only when we know what is the disease, then only we can give the start the treatment. So to start treatment, we must do the diagnosis and to ascertain whether the disease is curable. Okay, some diseases like end stage cancer, they cannot be cured, so only thing you can provide a palliative or a hospice care. So at that time, you only by doing diagnosis you can identify whether it is curable, and to decide the first line of treatment. Okay, so that is which drug I have to be given, whether it is an antibiotic or analgesic. So what is the first line of treatment is needed to identify that we need a diagnosis, and also to prescribe medicine. So only when we know the disease we can prescribe medicine, and to select the potent medicines in advanced diseases. Like for example, cancer needs some advanced treatment like chemotherapy, radiation therapy, etc. So you can select for particular disease, for particular diagnosis, what treatment can be given, that can be selected. So diagnosis is important, and to evaluate the effectiveness of treatment. So once diagnosis is done, and then we give treatment. So we have to identify whether the treatment person has got, it is cured, the disease is cured or not. So again you have to do a diagnosis. Okay, so for example, we are treating for hypertension, then again we will check whether the person BP is coming to normal. So like that, anything we have to first diagnose in order to see whether our treatment had any effect on the patient. Next is to identify symptoms. Okay, so only when we know the diagnosis we can know that this disease has particular symptom like this. Okay, so that to do that we do a diagnosis, and to prevent the spread of infection. So when in case of any communicable disease, we have to spread the infection from one person to another by doing isolation. So we need to know the diagnosis of a person. Next, in types of diagnosis, first is clinical diagnosis. This is done on the basis of signs and symptoms. Okay, seeing the signs and symptoms without performing any diagnostic test, we will come to a conclusion. Maybe this is the diagnosis of this person. That is called as clinical diagnosis. And laboratory diagnosis, so it is based on the lab reports and test. Okay, so we give body fluids for reports, and from the obtained reports and results, we come to a conclusion. So this is the diagnosis of a patient. And radiology, so radiology is by doing any imaging test. It can be a MRI, it can be a scan, or x-ray, or any radiological procedures. And principal diagnosis, it is based on the chief complaint. So we'll ask the chief complaint. Based on the chief complaint, the doctor may ask to perform certain test. Okay, so like if the person is having evening rise in temperature, then we ask the person to go for a malarial test. So like this, based on the chief complaints, we ask the person to do certain test, that is called as principal diagnosis. Okay, next is differential diagnosis. So in this we identify all the possible diagnoses that are connected to the signs and symptoms of the person with the lab findings and rule out the diagnosis until the final determination. Okay, so like in case person is coming with a particular disease, we also do diagnosis for other organ systems so that we find out that other organ systems are healthy. For example, a person is coming with some cardiac or heart problem. So we also perform certain renal tests because heart supplies blood to the kidneys, and if the heart is not functioning, even kidneys can damage. So like that we also do the test for other organs in order to find that if this particular diagnosis has some detrimental effect on the other organs also. So then we come to the final determination or final diagnosis. Next component of healthcare services is treatment. So treatment is also called therapy or care, and it is mainly to improve or protect the health of a person. So when a person is coming with a disease, we provide certain treatment or interventions, and thereby we improve the health of the person. That is called as treatment. In types of treatment, there are mainly three principal types of treatment. One is curative. So in curative treatment, so patient comes with some acute diseases and we give treatment and patient is cured from the illness. That is curative treatment. Palliative care is just to relieve symptoms and it is not a full complete treatment. So here the in case of some end stage diseases or some chronic illness, patient cannot be cured completely. So at that time we provide treatment only to relieve the symptoms of the person, and preventive treatment is to avoid the onset of illness. Okay, so that is to prevent the risk factors of the disease. To levels of treatment or care, so there is emergency care. So this is a medical emergency where is the this is the first line of contact. So whenever person is having some acute illness or some serious problem, then the person will come to the emergency care where emergency needs of the person is met. And intensive or critical care. So intensive is very seriously or critically ill or injured patients will need intensive care. So whenever their vital signs are not stable, then we provide intensive care for the person, and there is special skill needed for person who are working in intensive care areas. Next is ambulatory care. So this is care provided in outpatient basis. So typically patient may come in clinic in for a day and then he may leave the hospital in a day. For example, like cataract surgeries, they need ambulatory care. So patient may come in the morning, get treated, and in the evening he may leave the hospital. And home care is the care given at home. Here the healthcare providers like physician, nurses, and other health aides. So on call or on the needs of the patients at home, they will go and give care at the patient's home area itself. Okay, so that is home care. And primary care is the main kind. It is a generalized type of care where a general practitioner will be meeting the needs of the patient. That is when the person so the general practitioner will decide whether the patient need any specialized care and whether he has to go for any referral treatments. And secondary care is provided by some medical specialist. Okay, for example, like cardiologists, nephrologists, and these special area professionals are there who will contact the patient. Like the primary care patient will refer these patients to the secondary area where they will get the specialized care. Okay, tertiary care is the more specialized type of care which is provided in the inpatient settings. So they get referrals from primary or secondary care. So in primary or secondary care, certain major diseases or specialized treatments are not available and they has to go for special areas. Then they will be referred to this tertiary care area. So tertiary hospitals will be equipped with all the major and modern equipment so that they will be giving treatment for the persons. Continuing with the level of treatment or care, so next is follow-up care. So this is the additional care given for patients after the treatment, okay, after the discharge planning. So in case if the person had developed certain symptoms or if the person is advised by the doctor during discharge planning to come and get a checkup, so then the person will follow up the treatment, that is called follow up care. And end of life care, these are given for any end stage illness, so where the doctors may certify the person may live for another 6 months to 1 year, then they give this end of life care. So end of life care can be given in palliative care facilities or hospice care. Palliative care is an interdisciplinary approach. So this is given to improve the quality of care of patients and also families facing problems with life threatening illness. So when patient is having some life threatening illness, so they will prevent and relieve the sufferings of the patient, like giving treatment for pain, maintaining the nutrition, and minor problems will be treated by giving physical, psychosocial, and spiritual health, but the major life saving measures will not be done in palliative care. Hospice care is also a form of palliative care where the end of life care is provided, and here cure is unlikely. That means any treatment will not give any effect for the patient. So the main goal is to improve the mental and physical health of the person. So this is called hospice care. The next component in healthcare services is rehabilitation. So here set of interventions needed when a person is experiencing or likely to experience limitations in everyday functioning due to aging or health condition, including chronic diseases or disorders, injuries or trauma. Okay, so when patient is suffering with a chronic condition, so where the person is gone for some disability and is not able to maintain the everyday functioning like brushing, doing activities of daily living like bathing, etc. So due to aging or any chronic condition or injury, if he is not able to do the function, then we have to help the person to return to his daily life activities, that is called as rehabilitation. So examples are limitation in functioning like difficulties in thinking, seeing, hearing, communicating, moving around, having relationships or keeping a job. So when the person is not able to maintain all these functions due to aging or any injury, then the person is helped or assisted to maintain or return to his daily life activities and to fulfill his roles to the possible maximum level it is possible for him. We make him to do, that is called as rehabilitation. When we see the interventions in rehabilitation, so there is exercise. So exercise are given to regain the swallow or upper limb retaining and also coordination in case of stroke. Okay, so in stroke patient may go for paralysis, so we have to do movement and muscle stretching, etc., so that patient can regain his activity after a stroke. And the intervention to improve the safety and independence at home. Okay, so mainly aging people are more prone for falls at home, so we have to change the home environment by making some bars or handles here and there, so that person can catch these handles. And also we have to give balance training exercises and also avoid slippery floors at bathroom and at home environment where the old age is there. So in case of child with any developmental delay or any cerebral palsy, so cerebral palsy is a condition where the patient nerve is gone for paralysis and he can go for some disability in the limbs. So at that time we have to train them by using orthosis, and also we must give some exercises in order to regain their sensory integration and self-care, so that this will help in the person to go for education and play and also help in family and community activities, so that the child will improve the activities. And in case of surgical outcomes, okay, when a person is going for any hip fracture, then we have to teach them all the exercise, and also walking aids has to be provided, so that the person after the recovery process he can use the walking aid and he can do his work independently. And cognitive behavioral therapy and interventions are done to increase the exercise for an individual with depression. Okay, so when person is having depression, we teach behavioral therapies so to come out of those depression, that is counseling and other therapies. And intervention that support daily activities and community access for individuals with vision loss, and providing strategies to complete personal cataracts and training with the use of white cane. Okay, so like in case of blind people or any vision loss, then we have to maintain certain strategies so that we can train them to walk with canes. Okay, so all those things are included in the rehabilitation. Coming to the types of rehabilitation, first there is physical rehabilitation. So here the therapist will work on the improvement of the strength of the person and also the functional ability. So this is targeted by exercise and also with the range of treatment. And occupational rehabilitation, so this is restoring the individual ability to perform daily activities and also working to improve the motor skills, balance, and assist the patient in learning to increase the functional ability via adaptive equipments. Okay, so like as I said, if there is problem in walking, then walking aids has to be given, and whatever the functional disability is there, we have to give some adaptive equipment so that person can live by self or independently with those equipments. And speech rehabilitation, mainly tracheostomy and other patients who had cancer or in the larynx, so these patients will have speech impairment, so we have to teach them communication, and there are communication boards, so by this you can use some aids in order to improve the speech of the person. And pulmonary rehabilitation, this is done for long term COPD patients or long term respiratory disorder patients, so with the help of oxygen therapy, nebulizer therapy, and other therapies at home, we can improve the pulmonary health of a person. And cognitive rehabilitation, this is to maintain the behavior or to rehabilitate the behavior of a person. This is mainly done for any mentally ill patients or patients with loss of memory and with lack of thinking and reasoning skills. We teach them some behavioral therapy in order to improve the cognition. And vocational rehabilitation, this is done to prepare the individuals to work even after the injury or illness. Okay, so even after injury or illness, if the person is wanted to do a job, so these areas they teach some tailoring and and other occupational related jobs, so that patient can do his occupation and thereby he can maintain the self care. Next is continuing care. So once the person is having any chronic condition, so after discharging from the hospital, he needs assistance to do his daily activities, that is called as continuing care. So daily activities include dressing, eating, bathing, meal preparation, respite, wound care, medication administration. So all those health care and support services which the person is needed is provided in any long-term care facility or any supported living areas. So these are all called continued care. So these services and supports may be provided in different settings. So this can be given in individual homes like home care, or in a community area as community care, and also in adult day programs. Okay, so certain persons in the daytime, like there won't be any family member to look after the person, so daycare areas will be there, where on the day they will be left in these areas, and in the night they will be taken to their homes. And residential care facilities like old age homes and other homes are there, where the person may be living, and which includes designated supportive living. Okay, so supportive living are like lodges for the senior persons. So these areas also continuing care provided, and long term care. So long term is after the patient is discharged from hospital, if he needs extra care, they will be admitted in this long term care areas. Okay, so in the continuity care, so first is home care. So this provides personal health care services for client in all agents at their own residential setting, that is at home, or it may be in another area like old age home or any supportive living facility. Supportive living facility or specialized areas where the people are taken care of. And home care program will help the people to remain well safe and independent in their homes. Okay, because it is their home area, the person will be feeling relaxed and comfort in his homes. And these are services which are supplement to the home care, that is home to the care, but they do not replace the other support given by family, friends, and community. Okay, so these people will be there, and the extra supplement service will be done by the home care professionals. The home care services are provided in short-term basis. If it is an injury or a minor illness and the person will be recovering soon, then they give a short-term treatment. And if it is needed for long-term basis, like in case of aging and some disease or disability, then these services are provided on a long-term basis. Next is supportive living. So this is also one type of continuing care, where the person will get healthcare services at their home setting itself, and they can also gain access to the services that can meet their changing needs. Okay, so mainly supporting living is done for persons who do not have any family members to look after, or there is no caregivers, in their surroundings, so that they will come to these areas. So they are specialized accommodation according to the needs and the needs of the persons. These accommodations are available and they can avail these services. Okay, in these accommodations will vary in size and appearance and also the type of services. Like they can be like a senior lodges, that is separate rooms, or a group homes, there is a group area like a residential suite where these persons can get the services, and based on their developmental disabilities there is special supportive living accommodation. So any person according to the ability they can afford these services, and the supportive living accommodations will vary in different size and shape, and according to the need of the persons can avail those services. So finally, the long-term care is one type of continuing care facility. Here, when the person's medical needs are very complex and it cannot be met in the homes or in a supported living, then these patients will be kept in the long-term care area. And here, these patients will be referred from any nursing homes or any auxiliary hospitals, and they will be prescribed that they needed a long-term facility. So here the accommodation they will be access, they will get meals or 24 hours professional nursing and personal care will be provided, and case management, professional nursing, rehabilitation therapy and other consultative services will be provided on site by the faculty facility staff. Okay, so in these areas staffs will be there, so that whatever medical needs the patient is needed they can avail in these areas. So this is about long term care. So I hope you would have understood my class. Thank you for listening. Please share, like and subscribe if you like this video.